Now that the Taurus Cup is over, it's time for even more suffering. That's right, the Gemini Cup is right around the corner, and if you thought that the Taurus Cup was hard to prepare for, don't worry, it gets even worse. The Gemini Cup is what I like to call a more restrictive cup, in the sense that there are not many strategies that work this time. You can't just train any Uma and pray that Iron Jesus is on your side. I mean, you can, Umamusume is still a very luck-reliant game, but the chances are not stacked in your favor if you don't run conventional strategies this time, aka you're a meta slave. But don't worry, the next couple of cups after this one will be a lot easier to prepare for and allow you to use many more Umas. Let's begin with some general information released by Games and explain why this CM is particularly challenging to prepare for. First of all, Gemini Cup uses the longest racetrack for any G1 race in the game, the Spring Tenno Show, which is a whopping 3,200 meters. Even in the regular career mode, the Spring Tenno Show is the biggest stamina check in the game and the main reason why most people lose their Rice Shower runs. While other Umas also have this race in their careers, Rice is particularly tricky because you need first place in order to continue, while in the case of other Umas you have more leeway to place a little lower. This makes the Spring Tenno Show the biggest career killer if you don't pass the stamina check. And as you all know, the career mode greatly inflates your stats, which makes the PvP version of this track an even more gruesome stamina check, which is also the main reason why it's hard to prepare for it. Stamina will be king, and you need to make sure that you have as much as possible. Other notable things about this race are the fact that it takes place on Kyoto turf during spring, the ground condition is firm and the track is oriented right, unlike the Taurus Cup, which was left oriented. So watch out which skills you bring. I recommend the following green skills: right-handed, Spring Runner and Lone Wolf for a speed boost, Kyoto Racecourse and Standard Distance for a stamina boost, and Firm Conditions for a power boost. You can even add Sunny Days if you don't meet the required guts threshold. Yes, you heard me right, this race actually has a guts threshold, but I'll talk more about it in a minute. Also, keep in mind that green skills can be upgraded from 1 circle to 2 circles. The 1 circle version gives you a flat plus 40 bonus in the respective stat, while the 2 circle version gives you a plus 60 bonus in the respective stat. Due to the length of the track, I also recommend having at least 2 or 3 golden stamina recovery skills. I think that 2 is the minimum, but I highly recommend you have 3 to be sure. Here are some good golden recovery skills. Swinging Maestro, the most reliable recovery skill in the game, can be used by any Uma. The best way to get it is from the super quick stamina card, which everybody should use in preparation for this cup. Breath of Fresh Air, while less reliable than Swinging Maestro, it's still a decent recovery skill to have for this track. Calm and Collected, Race Planner or Gourmand if you are running Pace Chasers. Sleeping Lion if you run Narita Taishin, and Go Home Specialist if you run a Golshi. And also don't forget Cooldown from the Welfare McQueen stamina card, which is another gold recovery skill that can be used by everybody in this race. You may also consider the Stamina Eater skill if you are running the SR Stamina Manhattan Cafe in your deck. Well, Stamina Eater is a red skill, it basically steals endurance from the runners ahead. This skill works best with Enclosers and Late Surgers, but honestly I don't really recommend running Late Surgers this cup. Now, let's talk acceleration skills. At the end of the day, Umamusume PvP is acceleration game. Another reason why this cup is very restrictive is because the only viable acceleration skill available is exclusive to Enclosers, making them the best position to rank during this cup. I will not go into details explaining what are acceleration skills and why they are important. I want to keep this video as simple as possible, but all you need to know is that your Uma doesn't use their full potential given by their stats until they reach a point called the final leg. That's when they start speeding up and use their full extent of their stats. Acceleration skills are skills which trigger during the last leg and allow your Uma to reach max speed faster. If you reach your max speed faster than your opponent, you win. Simple, right? Given that you have more or equal speed, of course. Anyway, acceleration skills are important, okay? Very important. I cannot state how important. Even if you have better stats, you will still lose to a weaker Uma simply because you lack a proper acceleration skill. During the Taurus Cup, we had a couple of options to choose from with skills like Redshift, Shooting for Victory and Let's Pump Some Iron. But this time, due to the nature of the racetrack, the final leg doesn't start on a corner, so the only available options for an early acceleration skill are Straightaway Spurt and its better version Encroaching Shadow, which are exclusive to Enclosers. This is why Enclosers dominate this champion meeting. Not only do they have easy access to 2 or 3 golden recovery skills, but they also have the best acceleration skill in the game. So bring out your gold chips from retirement. She's not done yet. Other notable acceleration skill is Daiwa Scarlet's unique skill, Resplendent Red Ace, but it's way less reliable than Straightaway Spurt because it's hard to trigger. Some other notable yellow skills are Long Corners and Closer Corners, Professor of Curvature, Long Straightaways and Encloser Straightaways. Now, let's take a look at some recommended stats. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm going to give you 2 sets of stats. First set will be a minimum requirement for entering the Gemini Cup. This is for people who don't have many MLBSR support cards, people who started late or people who just for some reasons cannot achieve the recommended stats. These stats are on the lower end but should still get you some wins in the Cup. And I honestly wouldn't really consider entering a Numa in the Cup unless you can meet them. So, here they are. Speed, while less important than stamina in this cup, I would still aim to have at least 800. Stamina, try to aim for at least 1000 with 2 or 3 gold recovery skills. I think that this is at least the minimum you need to stand a chance. Power, I would go for a minimum of 600. And finally, guts and wit. Try to get at least 300 to have somehow a consistent way to proc skills. I think that this stat spread is achievable even without absurd support card. And if you can get at least 2 or 3 golden recovery skills, a decent acceleration skill like Straightaway Spurt and S in long, you should be able to compete pretty fairly in the cup. Don't expect consistent wins, but I think it's enough to get you to the Group B finals with proper luck. Now, here are the true recommended stats. These stats are for the people with proper investment in support cards. With this stat spread, I think that you will have no problems in winning races consistently. First, try to get at least 1000 speed, even more if possible. At least 1100 stamina, but push it to the max if you can. When it comes to power, I would go with at least 700. I recommend a minimum of 420 guts because, like I previously said, this track has a guts requirement to make sure that you don't run out of stamina. I know that normally guts is a useless stat, but for those of you who do not know, guts right now in global basically reduces stamina consumption during the final leg. During the career mode and most races even in PvP, having around 300 guts is more than enough. But since this race will be extremely long, having at least 420 guts will ensure that you won't run out of stamina before finishing the race. And when it comes to wit, I recommend anywhere between 400 to 500. Of course, don't feel too pressed. Most people will probably have stats somewhere between the minimum requirement and the recommended requirement. So try aiming somewhere in between, prioritizing stats as follow. Stamina is your most important stat in this run. You run out of stamina, you lost. Then speed, closely followed by power. Wit until 300, then guts until 420. Also, please don't forget the S in long. This will give you an extra speed boost and allow you to focus on your stamina or other stats more easily. Now, allow me to talk a little bit about the best position to use for this champions meeting. Frontrunners. To be frank, I don't really recommend them unless you use the Harurara frontrunner strategy, which I'll talk a bit more about later. The issue with frontrunners is that they don't have access to many gold recovery skills or acceleration skills, and because the final straight is very long in this race, they will be most likely overtaken by other runners from behind. Pace chasers are alright for this cup because they have access to a lot of golden recovery skills in their kits and through the special weak welfare speed card, and also because some pace chasers like Daiwa Scarlet also have a pretty decent acceleration skill. And because there won't be many people running frontrunners this cup, you can get lucky and have your pace chaser just off into the front and win. Yeah, this is something that happens. And some of you might have encountered this during the last champions meeting. When there are no frontrunners, the fastest pace chaser may sometimes just off into the sun and win the race. So if built correctly, they are viable. Just like frontrunners, I don't recommend late surgers for the same reasons: no acceleration skill and no golden recovery skills. They will most likely be overtaken by end closers, which are without a doubt the best position to use in this cup. They have plenty of options for golden recovery skills in their potential levels and also access to the best acceleration skill for this cup in straightaway spurt / encroaching shadow. If I were to rank them, the best position is end closer, followed by pace chaser, then frontrunner, and lastly, way behind are end closers. With that in mind, here are some Uma recommendations to run in this cup. Gold Chip and Narita Taishin will probably be the strongest Umas to run this time. While not everybody has Taishin, everybody has a Gold Chip. So she should be your ace for this cup. Not only does she have access to Go Home Specialist, but her growth rate makes it very easy to train her stamina. Taishin is also great, don't get me wrong. She has access to Encroaching Shadow, which is the better version of Straightaway Spurt, and she also has a golden recovery skill in Sleeping Lion. But keep in mind that she can be countered if using a frontrunner Haru Urara. Also, her growth rate is worse than Gold Chips, which is why I think that she is slightly worse, but still a solid choice if you have her properly built. Now, if you want to run 2 end closers and you don't have Taishin, you can also raise the aptitude of other Umas to make them end closers. My best recommendations are Mayano Top Gun and Symboli Rudolph. Mayano, both her wedding and regular version, are known for the fact that they can run in any position. They start with B as end closers, so raising them to A is pretty easy. Mayano also has a golden recovery skill in her kit in both her forms. Although if you have both forms, I recommend her wedding form over her regular form. Rudolph is also a pretty good Uma to train as an end closer. She starts with a C, so you need a little bit more work to get her aptitude to A. If you want to run a pace chaser, I honestly only have 2 recommendations. First of all is Daiwa Scarlet if you have her at 3 stars. Like I previously said, she gets easy access to golden recovery skills and has a good acceleration skill for this cup. The only issue with her is her bad growth rate and the fact that her signature skill isn't as consistent as Straightaway Spurt. The other pace chaser Uma I recommend is Mejiro McQueen, the regular version, simply because it's very easy to train her for this cup. Great access to recovery skills, very good growth rate, decent unique skill, and she also has Spring Runner in her kit. Other Umas that you can run in this position are Oguri Cup, Agnes Tachyon or Super Quick, but I don't really recommend them unless you really have no other choice. Now, let's talk a little bit about Haru Urara. You see, this cup, the buffers like Nice Nature and Grass Wonder won't be very common because the best debuff skills are restricted to medium races, and even the other skills are not very good on long tracks. Instead, what you can do is run a Haru Urara as a front runner, give her some debuff skills and let her disturb the flow of the run. I won't enter into many details about Urara, instead I will link you a video made by Mr. Poki where he explains the strat. The gist of it is that because she has a bad aptitude in both turf and long, she will fall behind and basically compress all the Umas that are running and prevent face chasers running into the distance and win the race simply by luck. It's also a great strategy against Narita Taishin because it can prevent her from triggering her unique golden recovery skill, which is why Gold Chip is just a more consistent runner in this cup. So yeah, Haru Urara is a very viable debuffer / disruptor for this race. Here are some team examples. I will personally run 2 end closers plus Haru Urara as a frontrunner disruptor for the match. Golshi will be my ace, and the second ace will be either Rudolph or Maeno depending on who will have a better build until the cup starts. And both will be run as end closers, of course. And just as I explained, Haru is there to prevent pace chasers from running ahead and kill Narita Taishin. You can also go with 2 end closers and 1 pace chaser, 1 end closer, 1 pace chaser and Haru Urara, or if you're feeling courageous, you can go with 3 end closers. Although I honestly don't really recommend this as much because if you have too many end closers, you're at risk of them sabotaging each other. In my opinion, the best comp is 2 end closers and Haru Urara. Now, here are some deck examples to train your Umas. The best deck preset is 3 speed cards and 3 stamina cards, which can be adjusted depending on your need. For example, do you have many MLB stamina cards? Does your Uma have great stamina growth rate? Then you can take out a stamina card if you can easily get 1100 stamina and add another speed card or a card you need for a specific skill. Here is the deck that I use. I have a 3 limit break Kita-san Black, a max limit break King Halo and 1 limit break Sweep Tosho for speed, 3 limit break McQueen, 2 limit break Seiyun Sky, and I borrow a max limit break Super Quick for stamina. Sometimes I even run max limit break Strength Hishi Amazon instead of Seiyun Sky, simply because Hishi Amazon has straightaway spurt as a hint skill. And training power will also give me a bit of stamina. Ideally, you would want a parent like this one right here for inheriting straightaway spurt. And we know that it's not easy for everything to align. You need S in long, you need 3 golden recovery skills, you need the right acceleration skills. Sometimes it's very hard for everything to perfectly fit together and people have limited time. I'm sure that most of you don't have time to run an endless amount of careers until you manage to build the perfect Uma. That is why, even if it's not ideal, I sometimes recommend running Hishi Amazon Strength in your deck for a little bit more consistency in getting that straightaway sport. Other notable cards are the Welfare Stamina McQueen SSR, which gives you cooldown, and also her rare version, which gives you Kyoto Racecourse, Spring Runners and Long Corners. If you are building a Pace Chaser, the Speed SSR Special Week Welfare card is very good for getting Gourmand. Oh, and since the McQueen card is a rare card, I don't really recommend running it on your ace, but you can definitely build a decent parent for this cup with it. Yeah, so this is all you need to know about how to prepare for the following Gemini Cup. If you have any other question, leave them in the comments and I will try my best to reply. If you like this video and you want to see more guides from me in the future, please subscribe and leave a like on the video. Take care!